Sunshine Coast. I run a commercial contracting company, TKM Builders. Run it with my wife, Kate. Yeah, I've always had plate boats. Started off with a sports fish, which was pretty interesting. And then I went to a bar crusher, had that for a few years, that was good. And then a Bowden, actually a custom plate, then moved on to a Rebel, and now this. So this is a Gen 3 hull, which is their latest hull with the flared bow. I actually went to their factory and I was sort of towards the end of the build and saw how it was all done. And the structure in the boat is next level. It's built like a tank. I think it's a Lloyd spec, something that they call it. And the flared bow, although it looks good, it actually adds a real purpose to the handling of the boat, especially in a following sea. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. There's no spray, comes over the front. It's a very dry boat. And yeah, it serves its purpose pretty well. I don't know, mate, it's probably one for Allan to tell you, but I know he puts a lot of effort into it. It's all built on a jig, and I don't really understand how he gets it to do what it does, but yeah, it's pretty impressive. There's a lot of structure in there, behind there. A lot of force goes into getting it to where it's got to go, I think, and yeah, he's done really well to get the boat to where it is in an aluminium production. It's pretty impressive. He was pretty secret. He didn't like cameras in there, and which is fair enough. He's spent a lot of time researching and developing his thing, so hopefully it works well for him and everyone catches on and enjoys as much as what I do.
We get asked a lot how we do the flare, and my standard answer is if I tell you, I'll have to make you some concrete gumboots. Hi, I'm Allan Shaw. I'm the owner of Makaira Boats. We're a plate aluminium boat builder based in Northland, New Zealand. We believe Makaira Boats builds the softest riding and strongest aluminium hulls in the world. So the Gen 3 hull is the accumulation of 10 years of R&D. We have always based our boats around Carolina Sportfisher hull shapes. For a long time we really wanted to do a flared hull, and we just had to develop a method to do it, which we've now done. And you know, that's the biggest feature of the Gen 3. The flared hull is a game changer for softness of ride. We've been able to get a finer entry without sacrificing following sea performance, and the dryness of ride is just night and day difference. That's the biggest change we've had in the Gen 3 hull. The second change we had was we did our hull structure around Lloyd Special Service Craft. That has also increased the strength of the hulls quite a lot. We already had what was pretty widely regarded as the strongest aluminium hulls in the market, but in the Gen 3 we've taken that to the next level.
Always wanted to build or be involved in building a pretty nice plate boat, and I rang around Australia and most of them were telling me 3 to 4 year wait, and I just sort of started researching New Zealand boats because I heard they were pretty up there with their quality, and yeah, stumbled across Makaira, and as soon as I saw the flared bow I was pretty much hooked, and I just knew they'd go the way they do. And yeah, the 8mm plate, the way they're built, they're pretty awesome machines that I don't think you can really match in Australia at the moment. A couple of mates and myself flew over and went to his factory. It was pretty impressive setup. The way he's got it all running there. Everything was sort of set up on a conveyor belt system, really clean, different stages for each. Yeah, it's like a production line sort of setup. He's going to do well. Yeah, the after-sale support's been really good. They don't just dump you and leave you. They bring up, find out how you're going, if you've got any questions. He gave me a few tips, and yeah, they've worked out. Yeah, so a lot of people hop on this boat and they're pretty surprised that it's not a fiberglass boat. The way it rides, the sound of it, you don't get that tinny sort of sound. The weight of it as well, because the 8mm plate, it rides as good as anything I've ever been in, and a bit different for a tinny, so they call them.
So one of the key differences between a Makaira boat, hull structure wise, and most of the other aluminium boats on the market is the thickness of our stringers and frames. One of the big things you'll find with it aluminium boat is that if your hull structure and your stringer thickness isn't thick enough, you'll get flexing between frames. And when aluminium flexes a lot over time, it's called cyclic loading. And then when you get cyclic loading, the hull structure will start to crack and let go. So you can see here, this is a 10 metre inboards engine room. These are the engine bearers here. There's going to be a 16mm plate there that we mount the engine to. But with an 8mm stringer like this, the maximum height you get before you don't actually increase your strength in an 8mm stringer is 120mm. So when we have a thinner stringer than that, we put a cap on it, or what this is called a rider bar. So the rider bar massively increases the strength of the frame. So if you see a hull with stringers that are 60 by 6 or 50 by 6, and the frame spacing is more than 600mm, or even at 600mm, it won't meet the same standard as our hull. Structurally wise, you're talking 200-300% stronger hull bottom and structure versus a 50 by 6 stringer on a 6mm hull bottom. And we see hulls all the time where they come into the shop and between the frames there's not enough stringer thickness and it collapses, so the hulls actually sink between frames, and long term they just crack and fall to bits.
But yeah, it's definitely very comfortable to drive. You feel very safe. You don't have to worry about any bad habits. All those nasty things boats can do, you don't ever feel like this is going to do it. So very, very, very comfortable straight away. Coming home yesterday from Fraser, back over to Harvey Bay here, and that little stretch of water is pretty renowned for being sloppy, especially the northeaster. And yeah, it was a following sea, and you didn't really cop much spray at all over the front. There's a few times there it did, but it's got to be expected a little bit. Generally they're very, very dry. Twin 200 Yamahas, same thing. I've always had Yamahas. Never had any problems. If every pro uses them, there's a reason why. Yeah, it wasn't really a recommendation from Allan. I'd obviously wanted the twins for the safety. We go a long way out off the reef, and yeah, you always want 2 engines rather than 1. And yeah, just with the Helmmaster especially, still works with 1, but not to the same effect and extent with the twin engine setup. So the specs on this boat, 8 metres long obviously. The beam, I think it's 2.5 obviously at the back, and as you lead up the front it becomes more. I think it comes up to about 2.8. 480 litre fuel tank, 90 litres of water. I think it has an 18-degree dead rise at the rear, but a very fine entry. There's structure in these things, if you've seen it up there, it's pretty unbelievable the work that goes in underneath the floor. So up the bow there's an electric anchor winch. The curved windscreen is a feature that's shouldn't be understated in it really. It's looking through it, there's no obstruction. It actually looks like it's not there, to be honest. It gives you a very good line of view. The electronics package is, I tried to keep it no frills, but the Furuno gear is pretty good. Just takes a bit of getting used to. And the Zipwakes, he's fine tuning those still, but pretty much a must have I think on boats these days, or some sort of system. Obviously the Helmmaster, that's a pretty impressive bit of gear, that for docking, fishing, or just general driving your boat. Pretty impressive. You can move your boat sideways, spot lock obviously. The chair, I'm not sure what they're called, the Shockwave seat base, they make it a lot more comfortable. So down there's a big hatch, that's got the water tank in, but there's enough room in there I can put another esky in there. Obviously the fridge, toilet up the front. There's under your feet there, that lifts up, another storage for eskies, whatever. This folds down, you put a bed here. There's a kill tank storage, live bait well obviously, and bait board, you can take it out when you're game fishing. Tuna tubes, and the shower just beside you there as well as a freshwater shower. They're not cheap boats. They're at the top end of what you're paying for a trailer boat. Bottom of the boat's constructed out of 8mm plate, and when I went to his factory and saw a piece of 8mm aluminium, I was like, holy shit. It's a pretty thick piece of metal that you you're riding on, I think that makes a big difference as well as the noise. There's no tin pinging like you can get with it. Yeah, it's definitely worth the 8mm plate. As far as I'm aware, it's the only builder that's using 8mm plate, and it would not be easy to work with, I suppose. But when you go to his factory and see the level of effort and work and money he's invested into building boats, you can understand why they are what they are, and he's pretty confident in his product, and he should be. If I had to describe this boat in 5 words, this is going to be a tough one. It's very sleek, I suppose, sporty, still tough, looks pretty tough. Yeah, very safe. How many words am I up to there? Extremely reliable. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be the last one we see in Australia. I think they're going to do pretty well over here.